Hi, Brandon. How are you? Hi, Rishabh.
Saloni, where are you?
Good. How about you?
Good, good.
Thanks for joining, Rishabh. We'll wait for a couple of minutes for others to join. Not sure if Brandon can hear us. Hi, Brandon.
Sure, no worries.
Where are you joining from, Rishabh?
I am based in Sydney.
All right. Hi, Arthur. Hi, Paulina. Themselves, feel free to unmute, or otherwise, if you want to just about your introduction, we can see from there. Let's get started for those who have joined. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this conversation that we have today on process mining. To introduce myself, my name is Saloni Juneja. I am based in Force, etc. I lead the automation practice team. That we are actually working with a lot of customers from different perspectives of UiPath, and my role typically spans from being a business analyst, where I work very closely with customers to understand requirements, as well as understanding the feasibility study at team of developers, testers who are actually doing the multiple customers. So that's about me. As I mentioned, feel free to do, and this session is not just one side of understanding everybody's perspective about UiPath process mining, their experiences, and we'll be happy to hear from you. Pause for a couple of minutes if anybody wants to talk. Participants do not see my slides moving, so just stop, because I'll wait for a couple of minutes when I move to the right slide, and then just let me know if you can see the same. Otherwise, probably we'll see how I can move to the right slide. Okay. So in the next 6 minutes, we'll be talking about process mining. When I say process mining, We'll also look at it from a functional perspective of what are the challenges that business processes face, what are the benefits that we have when we use process mining, and then we'll also look at some of the pocket of processes that you can actually streamline and automate in terms of looking at the different use cases where you can apply this particular product, which is process mining, and also talk about the process mining cycle. And then we'll slightly deep dive into how you can actually use process mining with certain basic requirements that are required in the data set. And then we have got process mining app templates, how we can actually use that started. And finally, we'll talk about the product capabilities of discover, act, monitor, etc. from a perspective. Also, to give context of the ones that are joining this session for the first time, this is a session we are actually running. It's like a sessions of discovery we are running. So typically, UiPath has got a business platform which has got Discover layer, and in Discover layer we have got Automation Hub, we've got task mining, process mining, and communication mining. And when I talk about all these discovery products, these are something that I used even before we get into the design or implement phase to understand our processes well and find out the right automation ideas. Now, I've already covered Automation Hub and Task Mining in my previous sessions. You can go to the Edit chapter and you can look at the recordings. So this is the third session. We are focusing on the process mining. So that's how we have just tried to tie the entire Discover platform together. So in terms of key challenges that we have in business, and typically I coming from a analyst background and have done a lot of work. I've been very closely associated with customer processes and have seen that there are a lot of inefficiencies within the process. Not all processes are as expected, which means that there are a lot of redundant steps. There are steps that actually can be leaned and then it can be improved, and which ultimately impacts the resources who are actually working on those processes by hampering their productivity, and also it raises the cost and reducing overall customer and employee satisfaction. In fact, when I work with a lot of customers, COEs, etc., their goal is not just to improve customer satisfaction, they also want to improve the life and the way an employee works. They really don't want them to work on something which is redundant or obsolete, etc. So that's also another area that companies really want to focus on. And then typically, I'm not sure of everybody's background, but I'm sure if you're working on UiPath, you would have seen that processes don't work in the same manner. There are a lot of variations. Like, one person is doing the idle step, whereas other one is doing something else, which might ultimately lead to rework, a lot of quality issues, etc. So that's where, it again impacts the cost as well as the employee satisfaction. So these are some of the challenges that we have seen with the processes. Honestly, I think when RPA picked up 5 to 6 years back, in fact, it picked up even before, but that was the era where most of the companies were just picking up RPA as a platform, and they were coming up with very simple processes, maybe, which can be actually Excel based or very simple processes. But over a couple of years, have gone really complex. Most of the companies have already automated the simple processes. And to understand these as a business analyst, it takes a lot of time. There are so many variations. You have to understand a lot of different decisions that are happening. So yeah, it's not that easy and transparent as we reach out to multiple stakeholders to actually unwind the entire process. And you would that what happens when you go to a team, they don't know from where they really don't know who is the right stakeholder to ask questions on the upstream and the downstream process. That's a process atmosphere that companies are actually dealing with. But yeah, that's something that is the real scenario, which is not the idealistic one. But at the end of the day, because we are looking at processes, we need to solve these issues, and that's where all these discovery tools come handy. So as I said, task mining I've already spoken about. From process mining standpoint, just let me know if you're on the right screen. I'll also check on my screen if you can see the right screen. Yeah, I think you can. Okay, so from a process mining standpoint, and I'll also tell you how it is varying from task mining. When you are running any process, and typically most of the organizations are using at least some ERP or any software that leads to some logs or digital footprints, as well as some events that are being tracked in some database. So what process mining does, it goes and picks up all this data that is already stored and try to map the entire process. So it looks at when did the process start, what was the activity which was done by the team member in so and so time, etc. So it's looking at all those data points to actually create a process map ultimately. And how it is different than task mining is, task mining is actually done real time when the user is actually performing that task. So what you do is you install task mining on somebody's system while they are doing their work, and it will start tracking each and every task they are doing. Whereas process mining is more working on those digital footprints. So that's how they are varied. But in terms of, I would say, the output, it's pretty similar in terms of giving you a process map of how the process is running, what are the drill downs at each process level, and then it ultimately gives you a kind of synopsis or analysis of different things that you want to analyze. When I say things, it's like, how much time that entire process is taking, what are some of the redundant steps, what are the errors that are being made. So you can actually define the various KPIs that you want to analyze. So in terms of benefits, as I spoke initially, we already knew that these are the challenges. But when we have all these tools that are there for mining, it's more of a data driven approach that we have. You don't have to really go talk to people and then do some guesswork of process, etc. You have data which will actually pick up everything that you need to understand from a process perspective. And with that, you can actually understand what are the possibilities for automations. More like, you actually are looking at the process, even looking at kind of opportunities to transform that particular process, and then look at a bigger picture of automating it. So it's very important to first clear out the processes and then look at automation. From a compliance perspective also, like if you have got process deviations, if you see that people are really doing tasks that are non-compliant, you can actually take care of that using process mining. And it's a continuous improvement. It's not that, once you have done the work is over. You can keep on doing, tracking the process on a regular basis, and then see how it has improved, or there are certain things that you've automated, etc. So you can track all that using process mining. So all these things I've just picked up on a high level, but in terms of data driven approach, you can go and collect data from various systems. So what you can do is you can just tell the system which all systems you want to track. So it will go pick up the logs or activities that are already in your database and start creating a flow out of it, which is an end-to-end flow. And this would actually guide not just somebody who's working on automations, but also from a transformation perspective, etc. So UiPath Process Mining has already defined certain out of the box KPIs. So I'll talk about it, that there are already processes, systems which are existing as templates. They have got KPIs defined. You can actually fit it to your own requirement, or you can customize it based on how customer needs it. So all that is there within process mining. From optimizing standpoint, like, because we know that there are certain avenues that you can pick up from process mining also to optimize your entire processes, where you understand these are my bottlenecks, these are the inefficiencies in the entire process. That's where the process is going, that's where somebody's not doing the right step at the right time, there is a lot of wait time, etc. So you understand that, and then try to optimize your process to finally introduce your automation. Honestly, I have worked with customers who have thought that automation is a solution for transformation. That's not the right thing. So what happens is, if we are really trying to automate a processes which is already fragmented honestly, you would not get the right results. It will, in fact, become even more fragmented. So even before you come to automation, it is very important that you actually transform your process, make it much more streamlined, and then look for automation opportunities, because that would give you a much better ROI, that would improve your entire efficiency rather than making it even more inefficient. Just to give you an example, I was working with one of the customer where we actually tried to automate an inefficient process. But what was happening is, at the end of the day, the employees were already working in their business as usual process. But beyond that, they had to also spend effort of doing manual intervention, because most of the aspects were actually being put it in action center. The automation was not able to work end to end, so everything was posted to manual intervention. So we had actually consulted them, telling that you should first transform your process and then come from automation perspective. So that's how this tool really helps to look at all these aspects. That's where discovery comes into picture, and it's very important. From compliance and audit perspective, I think we all know that there are a lot of regulatories that are specific to a lot of industries, like insurance have got a lot of regulatories. Then we have got a lot of compliances that come from GDPR, as well as healthcare sector, which is HIPAA, etc. So all these deviations or compliance related aspects, if you see in your process, you can actually take the right approach at the right time, rather than looking at it later when it has already costed you a lot. So you have got an audit trail of how your processes are executed, etc. So overall, I would say this particular tool, which is process mining, can come handy to understand your automation opportunities, to understand if you really have got opportunities of transformation, and then you can continuously improve. You can monitor KPIs. So when I speak about process mining, it's very important to define what kind of key performance indicators that you want to track, because it's specific to a process, it's specific to an industry. So that's where, typically, when I have worked with process mining projects as a business analyst, that's the role I play. I try to understand from the customer, what do you want to track in your particular process? And that's where you define KPIs. Maybe if it is existing from the out of the box KPIs, you just use it. If not, then probably you might have to tweak your process mining in terms of introducing those KPIs to the tracking. And ultimately, it'll help you a lot of changes that would bring to your database. Maybe you have to also tweak your data, etc. So that's how you continuously improve and adapt to the processes. So you keep on maybe defining different KPIs at different levels. So that's how it works in the improvement stage. um, I was talking about the process mining and its applicability in terms of the various use cases that we have seen in the industry. So typically, and in fact, there are a lot of connectors as well as templates already available with UiPath. So of course, UiPath has done extensive research of working with a lot of customers and understanding that these are the typical use cases that we see in the market, that people are coming to us for discovery. So they have already created ready templates which are pretty much ready to use to start working. But from overall use case perspective, it's very useful to do some kind of mining in the finance space. Finance typically has got a lot of steps, lot of volumes, so it is a very good use case for accounts payable, receivables. So people who have come from that industry, you've got invoice processing, you've got P2P, O2C, and R2R, which are typical kind of jargons we use in the finance sector. So that's where you can use process mining to understand the processes. You've got asset management, you've got dispute case management in terms of understanding how the queries, etc., are being raised to the finance team. And then very important is expense management. So there are a lot of softwares that are available in the market. You can actually start mining those processes if that's being used in your industry or your organization. So from a procurement perspective also, like purchase to pay is one of the connectors or the templates that are available with UiPath. So this is a very typical use case that we have seen process mining being used. We've got purchase requisitions, and then we've got sourcing contracts, etc., where you can use. And from a sales cycle, Again, as I mentioned, from order to cash, account management, there are a lot of use cases that you can use process mining. Even in the manufacturing space, you can mine different processes. Coming from some of the areas where I have seen a lot of applicability of IT service management, incident management is the biggest use case. So in fact, we've got a lot of templates from Jira as well, where you can track where the incidents are going, how you're actually tracking your processes, etc. Customer service space, as well as service request management, like you can look at service now and all those applications to mine. And this is where we spoke about sales, but you can also use it after sales. And from a data management perspective, if your data is fragmented in various different applications, you can actually track it with this process mining, understand how the data is moving from one process to another process, and try to weave it all together. And finally, HR. So HR, hire to retire, like if you have got certain tools that do recruitment activities, or you have got some exit related softwares, you can actually start mining your particular areas with this particular tool. But I'm just trying to pause and trying to hear from anybody who has used process mining and they want to share any typical use case where you have seen the advantage of using it. Feel free to unmute yourself and share your thoughts around that. Anybody who wants to share? Okay, that's okay. Maybe we can have a conversation where probably we can have somebody to share ideas, and then they can share not just process mining or their experience with other products as well. Now moving to, I would say, so that was a functional aspect of why we use process mining, where we use, and what are the benefits that you can reap out of this particular tool. Now comes the process mining cycle, which means that how you actually use it. So I was talking about data, which I'll talk about, that there are certain aspects that you must have in your data so you can use it for process mining. So the very first thing is data transformation, which means that the data that you have already existing, you might need to clean it up little. It's not too much, it is just the logs that you have. So to call out, the process mining looks for case ID, activity events, and timestamp. So these are three primary things that you must have in your data. If you don't have, you might have to either tweak it to track these things, otherwise you might have to pick up any other product, not process mining, because you must have the data with these three first point. Once you have transformed your data, then you can source your data to process mining, which is the logs, etc. Once you have done that, that's when we create different apps, etc. I have touched upon high level in this particular presentation. So keeping these presentations slightly at a big, know that there are a lot of people who are joining chapter who are still new to UiPath. We are doing a very and beginner level of discussions, and plan is maybe next year we'll bring some more advanced discussions about how to do it. In fact, in the we covered automation hub and task mining slightly from a demo perspective. Needs much more technical understanding because you have to connect to the data, you have to change your data, etc. You have to create apps. That's what we plan to do, and then we'll be happy to hear your feedback of what you want to see as part of these community sessions. So from a data analysis, so once you have created all those templates, etc., you finally do the analysis of data that you have actually picked up from different sources, and then you keep on continuously improving it by using the different apps, or changing the KPIs, etc., over a period of time. Now we'll deep dive slightly because there is a process that you must follow if you want to use process mining. So I know that everybody who has been part of IT, you would know that there is so much data across, there's so much information which is across different applications, databases, systems, etc. Now, if it is pretty track and monitor, that's great. But if it is not, it really goes away from the right use case that you want to really plan with it. So just talking about databases and log files, so this is just an example of how it looks like. So from process mining perspective, that's what I was mentioning, that it must have an event, which means look, register, define, permit. This is basically at that point in time, what were you trying to do? So if we talk about a process, maybe you started something, you were looking at specific tasks, etc. So those are the events that are defined for each data that has been stored. That's first thing. Then that means that this is the date and the time with which this event was performed. And typically each task, just to differentiate between one to another, three things that you must have in your process to actually mine it through process mining. And this data, then actually process mining does, it actually creates a map for you. So it'll pick up this data and will figure out what is the flow of the process. And not everybody is doing work same, so it can actually keep on creating variations. So maybe one box can lead to another couple of boxes, and then one decision can lead to a couple of different decisions based on how different people are performing this task. So as I said, the basic requirement of process mining, if you don't have it, it's slightly difficult to achieve process mined using this particular process. Maybe you have to then either go for manual kind of discovery, etc. So case ID, which is more of an identifier for each use case, this can actually vary. So this can vary from the processes that you're dealing with. So it can be invoice number, it can be number, it can be other of even employee ID if you're looking at some kind of HR process. So this can all vary. Activity is the actual step or task that have been associated with that particular event. So what you were trying to do within that particular data. So and then timestamp, as I said, is more of the date and so that's how that data should be. If not, then if possible, you can actually tweak your data to at least capture this basic, start using process mining. There are certain limitations, like there are certain tools where you can really not track all these data. Like for example, if the work is getting done on Excel, it's very difficult for you to track all these things. Then you might need to leverage other products. Not said, if you don't have timestamps available, etc., you won't be able to track this using a process mining product. So these are basic requirements. From talking about the step-by-step mechanism of mining. So now we have understood that is the data that we have. If we would tweak that, and after that we extract them. So we say extracting that data can be applicable to any ERP which has got these three requirements. It can be SAP, Oracle, or all those ERPs that are in the market, Coupa, etc. And then you this data systems, and it can be any system or process like order to cash, purchase. Initially you can track it for this data. You might need to apply certain step of schema if you want to use the exist. And then with that, as this data, we create a process map to understand how this particular process looks like, which means with that you guys which are existing with out of the box models, dashboards. So that's what would is to process mining app, where you can data or you can customize it to a business need. So that's the step by step process mining actually works. Now drilling down some of the things, like we have been talking about process mining apps, what they actually are. So they are already existing templates defined by UiPath that you can to actually create all these dashboards, KPIs, etc., specific to a system, or it can be a process. In the next slide, I'll talk about what I mean. There is a huge range of system processes that UiPath has already thought through, which they have seen in the market is pretty dominant. Process mining can be utilized. And the very good thing, you actually your data, you transform it into process mining to extract this data. The extraction is pretty much real time. So once a step is being performed, the data is automatically visualized in process mining without any delay. So it's pretty reliable and near real time integration that happens between the systems and the process mining apps. With that, it gives you an instant ROI. You can understand what are the KPIs that I'm trying to track. It will show you an answer. As I said, you can keep on changing all these as per your requirement. Now, how you actually create an app from step mechanism. Of course, again, as I said, we are showing today. But if you think you want to deep dive, we can arrange a session where we will actually show you how you choose all the different templates. Now, from the app templates, there are two kind of process apps. So one is system specific. When I say system specific, it's like if you want to pick up service now or you want to pick up from SAP, etc., you've got apps defined for that. If that you need more of a process specific app, then you have a purchase to pay or kind of templates that you can pick up and then start using it. If you don't know exactly which system or process specific app you want to pick up, you can actually pick up generic template with which you also have to be sure that you already have a case ID, the timestamp, as well as the event. So if it is about picking up a template that's more process specific, you can pick up a generic template and use it for your mining. And once you have done that, that's when you customize your process mining app, which means that add on the KPIs or whatever you need to track, you can build or customize that app, which is pretty much specific to how business wants. For certain requirements that the customer might have, you will tweak your entire mining app for that. And things are probably some might need some in-house. Typically, as I said, this might need some technical understanding. So this can be done by customers themselves if they have got technical teams, or there are like as a UiPath team can do for them. This is like a continuous process. So when I say continuous process mining spans from discover, understand, act, and then you iterate it. So when I was talking about those templates, like when I said the system of process specific templates, that's what I mean. Like process mining already has got templates that are pretty easy to be integrated for SAP. In SAP, there are different modules that it's been already trained out of the box dashboards. So the processes can be purchase to pay, order to cash, equipment management. So these are all the processes within SAP you can actually use your template for. Similarly, for now, I spoke about this as a typical use case in the industry. So you have to be available for incident. Salesforce as well. They've got a lot of that are covered from process mining template perspective. You've got lead to go or configure, price, quote, etc. that you can use. Jira, when I said that, if you want to track from an IT management perspective, how the entire tickets are being handled, etc. So there are templates existing for Atlassian, etc. And then from a if you don't know if you want to really pick up a system specific template, you can just go system agnostic and you can pick up any template which is for a process, which is purchase to pay, order to cash, custom processes, or any processes have events or logs that are being tracked. So that's more of process, and system specific templates. Again, we have got other a kind of specific. So, with my experience, I have seen that there are a lot of customers who are using Oracle as their finance kind of a software where they have got invoice processing, etc. So even we have got different versions or variations. Like some of the customers are using JD Edwards, some of them are using NetSuite. In fact, Fusion also have used for one of the customers. So these templates are also those different version levels which you can use. So once you have actually configured your template, then what we can do is we can continuously discover. So when we say discover, you actually connect to all these applications. These processes are available, like, it can be any application. We have already seen the different applications. You can discover all those processes to create a process map, to discover what are the different variations, etc., which will lead into the final output of understanding what are the KPIs that I'm tracking, what are the transformation activities that I might be able to come up with based on this entire discovery. And finally, what we have is we have visualization, which is the end-to-end process maps that are created. And with that, you would also be able to handle different bottlenecks, variations, or also understand, people are actually putting a lot of efforts in terms of rework, etc. And all these things can actually, if you identify certain ideas, you can actually take it to Automation Hub. So there's a link from Process Mining to Automation Hub where you can track these ideas, and you can actually also look at the etc. of each process that you identified as part of your opportunity. In terms of act, like, what we want to do is we want to ultimately streamline entire process and monitor it continuously. So those next slides are showcase that. So when we say discover, so these are, from SAP or any other where your database would have the different items that are existing, and then you are connecting the process mining app to get extraction all these sources. So these sources can be as softwares. So once you have, because you have got your data already based on how a process mining needs, that's great. If you don't have, you've got, you can actually edit your data more specific to process mining, or maybe ingest it to process mining. And then with that, we have already spoken about the different app templates that we use. So this is the layer of process mining. The very first thing that you do is take the app template, template you want to use. So you would choose from different apps that we have. Then you would do dashboard editing, which means that you have to then define your kind of KPIs that you do need, etc. And then from a data manager perspective, you might need to also edit certain fields, etc., that you want to add to your processing app to suit your business users, which that with the KPIs that you want to track, you might need to also do fields that you want to get that dashboard correct. So that's where you do the data management. Finally, the output is to what this is where you have a process map. So if I zoom in, you would be able to see certain aspects of how many times scenario A was, how many times the scenario B was managed, the time frame, etc. So you have that on your process map easily. You can actually, drill down into each. If there are different variations, you can drill down into each of them. 1 second. Yeah. And with that, you would be able to analyze the entire bottleneck, etc. Now, there are various different ways how to actually create these process maps as well. Either you can just use the way it is being done in processing, or you can also create your own process map, or you can import a BPM model also. That's also different types of ways you can actually import data to process mining. And finally, this all is the different kind of visualizations that you can see in process map. So it will show you what emission potential, like, if you look at each activity level, activity which is reject SOI it is very, prone to automation. It actually automated. So created the entire process map. It has also told you that, we AI, that there is a lot of automation potential within this particular process, because this process was handled manually for so, and the number of FTs that were there is actually this much. This activity itself can actually send it to automation hub directly as a idea, and then you can drill down and track the status of the same. So this is how you can track your entire, you can streamline this. So as I said, if you had certain activities that are happening, so here it's more rework that has happened in the same step, so you can actually go and redundant steps. So it will actually show you of the same process that has come up in the use case tracking. So you can go and manage it through this particular improvement cycle, or you can deploy some Lean Six Sigma, etc. So that's where you can work parallel on the transfer.
Hey, Saloni.
And it, yeah, tell me.
Sorry to interrupt you, but the slides are not changing actually. Now when I scroll, now it's got changed, but it wasn't changing.
Okay, so were you in the slides earlier?
No, 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 no. Now it is on the right side.
So all the other slides were not.
Mm,
Okay, probably I have to probably ask you. Probably I have also seen this, but yes, you should have told. Can you see it at the right slide?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I can see. I put a message actually. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
now I can see.
I don't know what is the issue.
That's
I don't
okay.
know why slides cannot move. I'll go and with BY, or probably with Rohit for issue, and why these are not moving for the participants. I'm so sorry. Something
Yeah,
I've been
that's
hearing from most of the participants.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. You can continue.
You could not see that were moving earlier.
Sorry, sorry. Earlier, I
I'm
missed the
saying,
slide.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll slow the slides are so that we are on the right slide. So can you
Can you
see the,
please, yeah, yeah, I can see the act slide.
yeah, okay. Okay. So I
Like,
think we
can you
will,
please share the PPT also via like where you share the recording?
yes, yes, you will see the recording, and then I can also send you these slides if required. So if you can just send me your email ID, I can send you
Yeah,
these slides. I will pop in my my email ID. If somebody wants to know these slides, I can.
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
Panina, to answer, is there a trading environment? So, unfortunately, process mining is not on the community version. So, this needs to be only activated on the enterprise version. So, if you have that version, probably then you can look at AI units that are transferred to the particular tenant that you're using, and then you can activate process. But yes, this is not in compliance question. Maybe if you can check in forum for certain videos, etc. The training environment is something that you have to pick it up in enterprise. Okay, going to the next one. Yeah, so I'll go slowly. So yeah, I think more or less we've spoken about the discover, act, etc. But from a monitoring perspective, like what we are trying to monitor different logs, etc., or the activities that are being tracked as part of the entire process mining tool. So these are the different kind of dashboards. I'm not sure if you guys can see. Just want to give you a feel of how it looks like. Can you see the monitor slide? Rohini, if you can
Yeah,
confirm.
yeah, yeah. We can see them on this slide.
Uh, these are the kind of KPI. You've got average event throughput time. So all particular use case, it will give you automation rate, etc. And then these dashboards that you can look at from a process mining perspective. So that can change. Now, moving to the next and the final aspect on the security, if you are trying to use this thing here, I am seeing the next slide. Okay, from a security standpoint, because you are connecting with the customers' data or show a lot of hesitance of security, so you can ensure or maybe tell them that these all be secure, because it's any question. So it role based access. You can have rules provided to the right stakeholders. I can hear my anybody who's not unmute them themselves. Yeah. So this is completely controlled by access. We have got multi-factor authentication for the data that is in process mining, and then we have got different ISO certifications that are already been taken by UiPath. So it's all pretty secured. Now, in terms of deployment, there are two ways that you can use process mining. It can be either on cloud. So you can actually use use the UI automation cloud where process mining is hosted and end to end, or you can also use UiPath. There might be a customer who's not willing to use. You can use it by with in-house automation suite that has been already given to that customer. So there are different ways you can actually choose different customizable out of the box model. Paulina, I'll definitely get back to you if I complete training session environment that has been set up. Honestly, even I only use it for the and that has been created for me in Pernix, and we have got process mining. But I'll get back to you if we have got any training that can by the participants who wants to learn it. So yeah, this is in terms of process mining. In terms of just wanted to walk through overall what process mining does. But we spent good 45 minutes to talk about it. I would like to hear from others, because all the events that we had were very very 1 hour specific. We couldn't talk to each other. Maybe we'll couple of minutes and try to understand from you guys where you based, what are your experiences in UiPath, what you're trying to learn, and then we can tweak our sessions in the upcoming future. Anybody wants to share anything?
Great presentation. Thank you so much, Saloni. Just a moment. When I try to access the recording, it just directs me to the community page, and I'm not able to find any recordings for previous sessions. So if it can be a bit more accessible, that would be greatly appreciated.
I would, Paulina, go back. So I think that I can view it definitely, because maybe I'll just see how it available to friends. I will sort it for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. And Rohini, because you were mentioning that this moving at the right time, I can upload slides also. I can see if that's something which I can upload as well on that particular session or the chapter.
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
that would be great. Thank you.
And just a curiosity question, because when I moved to Adelaide, we wanted to create a kind of community here. Has anybody joined from Adelaide? And the reason this is because we wanted to host certain in-person meetups as well, but we wanted to see how many people are actually working in UiPath locally, and then we can arrange for some local meetups. So is there anybody who has Adelaide, Australia? I think nobody. Okay, no worries. I hope you enjoyed the session, and maybe we'll talk in the next session, community mining. And we have a plan that we'll also get a UiPath data scientist to also share communication mining, because we have been seeing that communication mining is a very new tool to most of the people across the globe. So for the next session, I have invited UiPath, the data scientist, to walk us through the actual product. So I'll be happy to see you all there. Any questions for today's session?
It was a great session. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohini. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saloni. Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks.